Okay, here's the group of Ming, Hao, and Kenny, and our work is the Expertiza E608. We are focused on the course model, and we will go over our work individually. So first is me, Ming. My work is try to rename this very last method in the course model. It was called create node, but I find out that it will actually create a course node. So that's how I rename it. And this method is only used when you are trying to create a new course. So here I will show you this function still works. Now we are on our VCL image running our version of Expertiza. So first I will try to create a new course. You will see it's alright, and the new course is showing here. And then I will try to create some more for later use. And one more. Okay, you can see their error course is here, so nothing's wrong. And I also write up the unit test for this model, which is the course test, and it has all the methods, as you can see here, and let's run it to test it. Everything's fine, and I also wrote another unit test for this one, and here we go. So everything's run, and that's my work. Now let's have.
This is Kenny, and I'm going to cover our refactoring of the course node model. I'll start with the get method. We looked at renaming this. It's just returning a list of nodes based on the query conditions that it puts together through its logic. We didn't rename it due to polymorphic reasons and other classes relying on this name being get. So we added default values for the sort var variable and the sort order variable, and this enabled us to remove some of the logic that was in the get method. There was also code that was assigning a value to the conditions variable, and regardless of how that particular conditional evaluated, the variable conditions was still overwritten later, so we totally removed that portion of logic from the method. For the additional logic there, we extracted that out into two new methods, those methods being the get course query conditions method and the get courses managed by user method. This was able to reduce a fairly complex get method into a one-line call. And now we'll look at one of those new methods. That's get course query conditions. One of the key items to look at here is that we're checking if the user is a teaching assistant. Previously, this was done by checking the actual role for the individual user. We changed this by going to the user model and adding the isTeachingAssistant method, which will always return false. And then through polymorphism, we went to the TA model, which inherits from the user model, and here we overrode the isTeachingAssistant model to always return true, since a TA is always a teaching assistant. And this enabled us to make just a simple call that no matter what type of user you are, it just checks if you're a teaching assistant for this particular logic. Additionally, we added the get courses managed by user method, and this one was pretty simple as it was. We just extracted the logic outside of the get method. We also looked at the get children method, and this one was another one that we wanted to rename, but due to polymorphic reasons we did not. Other changes to the course node model included removing the get survey distribution ID method as it was dead code and not being used. We also removed the get creation date method because there are actually two instances of that exact same method here. So we removed the one that was not needed. For testing the course node model, we test all of the public methods within the model, and we cover all of the branches that the logic can take for calling the get method, which is called by the get children method. And now I'll show that those tests will run successfully. And we have the test running now, and you can see that they all passed with no errors and no failures. Now, since we did modify the user and TA models, we went to the pre-existing user test unit tests and added a couple of additional tests to test our changes on the isTeachingAssistant method, and we'll show that the pre-existing test as well as our new test all pass. And everything passes there with no failures and no errors. Here we are at the courses page, and this is where we can test that the course node functionality still works properly. You can see here that our courses are currently listed as in the order of Astro, Triathlon, and Physics. We're going to now sort by the name and put those in ascending order, and we'll sort those. And now they're in ascending order by name. We have Astro, Physics, and Triathlon. Next, we'll test on the date created in descending order to put the most recent first, and we'll sort here. And here we have Astro followed by Triathlon followed by Physics, which was the default value when we opened the course page. And everything here is working just as it should. And we will now move on to Hal and his contribution to the project.
Hello, this is Hal. I'm tasked to refactor the course team class. So as we can see here, that the old import function was very long and it does a lot of different things. So we refactor the import function into a couple of different functions like import participants and handle duplicate. So now this is a newly modified import function. We also improved some of the logic, control logic in here. So after that, we look at some of the other methods in the class. So the copy method is dead code and also it's bug written. So we noted that to be deleted, deprecated. So. And the next function we looked at is the add participant function. The add participant function adds a course participant to the course. So to the course participant. So this function should not belong in here. It should either belong. It should probably belong in the course. In fact, it does. The course does have this functionality. The function that calls this is located in the team class. And we left notes on how that function should be modified in order to avoid use this function, and this function should be deleted in the future. So the next thing we looked at is the export function. The original export function, here's the original export function. It actually exports all of the assignment team that's associated with the course and not the course team. So so for that, we rewrote the export function and refactored that into a couple of different methods. And then the next thing we looked at is the get export field function. This function was bugged, so we fixed it. It used to do the opposite of what it meant to do. And after all of the changes, we created a test for all of the functionalities in the course team class. I think we touch on most of everything. So here, let me run the test. As we can see, all of the tests passed. Now let me demonstrate why I modified and show that it works. So we can, here is where the importing and exporting function, import export method gets called. So let's import a thing into the class Astro. We created 6 students and we created a space separated file with no team name column, and here's the file. It's gonna create two. If this works, it's gonna create 2 teams with. All right, let's import. And as you can see, it created 2 teams, and the team have the correct student in there. Now let's see the export function. The original export function export the assignment teams, not the course teams. And now it should export the course teams. And let's see. It's comma separated. All right. And as we can see here, the export worked fine. During our process, we also found a lot of other bugs that's outside of the course-related classes, and we noted them in our wiki. So for more detailed explanation of what we did, please visit our wiki page.